Hi, welcome back to the online retreat, the Wheel of Life retreat.
大家好，欢迎回到生命之轮线上进修营。
And I'd like to thank Allison for coming and translating.
首先，我要谢谢 Alison 过来翻译。
We're on session 16. It's called A Life to Live.
第16堂课的名字叫做活的一辈子。
And now you see this group of people
然后你会看到一群人，
just walking down the street.
他们就在街上行走，
And each one is walking through the Wheel of Life.
每一个都在走在生命之轮里。
And pretty much in only 2 of the links, we cover a whole human life.
基本上差不多在2个环里，我们就可以涵盖人的一生。
Those 2 links, just before them comes link number 10.
在这2环之前呢，是第10环，
And you can see it here.
大家在这里可以看到，
This is my kid painters from Nepal.
这是我的在尼泊尔的那些小朋友们画的。
And they have painted. This lady is supposed to be a pregnant lady.
画的这位女士其实是应该画的是一个孕妇，
And she represents link number 10, Chupa Sipa, Chupa
她
Sipa.
代表第10环叫 Chupa Sipa。
Chupa means number 10.
Chupa 的意思叫第10环。
Sipa is a difficult word. It has been mistranslated many times.
Sipa 是个比较难懂的词，很多次被翻译错了。
It can mean possible.
它可以是代表可能，
It can mean becoming.
也可能是代表说变成，
It can mean your whole life.
也可以代表说你的一辈子。
And it doesn't mean any of those here. Okay.
然后但是这里都不是这个意思。
And I think it was a big breakthrough. My own teacher taught me.
然后我觉得这是一个很大的一个突破。我的老师告诉我呢，
He said in this case, you have to think of the word sipa means karma, which is ripe.
他说呢，在这里你要理解为就是那些已经成熟的业力。
So back in link number 2,
所以在第2环的时候，
we had karma, which was like a seed that you just put under the ground.
我们提到就是你刚刚种在土壤里的业力，
And we translated that as fresh karma. Nipa duche kile is fresh karma.
我们把它叫做 Nimba Kuchekile， 意思就是新鲜的业力。
And, remember we put the seed under the ground
记得我们把种子种在土壤里，
in the spring,
就在春天，
watermelon seed.
西瓜的种子，
And then it rained
然后呢就下雨了，
and the water touched the seed
然后呢水就触碰到种子，
and it woke up all the workers in the factory inside the seed.
它就把在种子里的工厂的所有的工人都唤醒了。
I picture them, they're all like, they're waking up,
我想象的画面，他会这样啊，然后就醒了。
And then the supervisor wakes up.
然后呢，监督的主管也醒
He's
了，
like, wake up, everybody, we got work to do.
他就叫醒大家说：“醒来，醒来，干活啦！
We got to get ready to push this sprout out of this seed.
我们要准备好把这个芽把它推出地面。”
And so during those few months' time,
所以在那几个月的时间段，
after the water touches the seed,
当水触碰到种子之后，
I don't know, strange things are happening inside of the seed.
我觉得就奇怪的事情就在种子里面发生。
We finished those 2 preparing the factory to open.
我们已经完成了，就是工厂里做准备的阶段，让种子可以打开。
They were called Gepa, Sepa, Kupa, Lemba, link number 8 and link number 9.
就是第8跟第9环。
And we took the good seeds
然后呢，我们选那些好种子，
and did coffee meditation. I'm happy I helped someone.
然后对好种子做咖啡冥想，我很开心，我帮助了别人。
And on top of that, we did high-powered understanding about seeds, which makes good seeds open faster and bigger.
然后呢，我们就通过明白种子，然后呢，可以让种子长得更快，然后结的果更大。
With negative seeds,
然后坏种子方面呢，
in the picture of the Wheel of Life,
在生命之轮的图画里，
link number 8 and 9,
第8跟第9环，
we did sort of a negative coffee meditation.
我们有点像是做反面的咖啡冥想。
We were like, I'm glad I'm eating meat. I will get stronger.
比方说，哎呀，我很开心我吃肉，因为这样我会更强劲。
And then more terrible,
但是更可怕的是，
we think, oh, there's no such thing as a karma. The pen comes from the pen.
然后呢，就是认为说，哎呀，笔是从笔那边而来了，没有业力的。
Even if I kill an animal to eat it,
哪怕我杀了动物吃掉，
I don't believe anything will happen to me.
我也不相信是什么事会发生在我身上。
So because of those two ideas,
因为这两个理念，
the bad seeds in the wheel of life get stronger and stronger.
生命之轮里的坏种子越来越强大。
And at link number 10,
在第10环，
let's go to the book. Let's go to the text.
那我们来讲书里的内容。
It says Chupasipani. What is link number 10, which is called ripe karma?
第10环叫做成熟的业力。
Na duche ki namshe la leke parcha ge. Earlier in the wheel,
在轮的早些时候，
the second link, which is called duche in Tibetan and sanskara in Sanskrit.
然后呢，第2环它在藏文当中叫 Duchen Sanskara， 就是梵文里叫 Sanskara。
Remember, link number 1 was, you walk into the kitchen and your husband yells at you.
大家请记得，在第1环当中，就是你走进厨房，然后先生骂你，
And you say, I didn't do anything. I don't know why he's yelling at me.
那你就什么都没做，我不知道他为什么骂我。
And that's like link number 1, which is misunderstanding where he's coming from.
这就像第1环，就是误解了事物从何而来。
That misunderstanding pushes link number 2.
那个误解就把第2环压回去了，
And she makes karma.
然后呢，就种下了种子业力。
How?
如何呢？
She said, I'm not stupid. You're stupid to her husband.
他就骂回去说：“我不蠢，你才蠢。”
So the duche in the text here, the sanskara, is the moment that she says, I'm not stupid, you're stupid.
所以这里的 sanskara 的是指说当他骂回去的那一刻，我不蠢，你才蠢。
And then the bakchak, which means the seed
然后 bacha 意思是种子，
of the karma, is pressed on the mind.
然后呢，他就在意识里留下印记。
Okay, my dog is not only blind and deaf.
好吧，我的狗呢，不单单已经聋了、瞎了，
Now sometimes he poo-poo in the house by accident.
有些时候它还有意外在房子里拉便便，
Then sometimes on the carpet.
有些时候还拉到了地毯上。
And, we try to lift the poo-poo off very carefully.
然后我们就很小心的用厕纸把这个粪便拿走，
But still, a little bit of smell will rub into the carpet.
但是呢，还是会有一点气味会沾到地毯上面。
So the verb here, gepa, means that smell gets rubbed into the carpet.
那 ger 的意思就是那个味道就染到了地毯上面。
In this case, the karma of saying, I'm not stupid, you're stupid,
所以这里的例子是说，哎，我不蠢，你才蠢，
gets rubbed into our mind.
然后就印在了我们的意识上。
And this is going to be important later.
这在稍后会变得重要。
We've been talking about the third link, which is one of the monkeys.
我们一直在讲第3环，就是其中的猴子。
And that monkey represents your mind entering your mother's womb.
那只猴子代表的就是说你的意识进入到你母亲的胎中，
But
但是
it can also represent the carpet where the stinky is rubbed into the carpet.
它也可以代表就是说被染上污渍的那个地毯。
So at the moment that the wife says, I'm not stupid, you're stupid,
当太太骂说我不蠢，你才蠢的那一刻，
that karma is rubbed into the mind stream.
然后那个业力就印在了意识流上。
And that's another meaning of the third link.
这就是第3环的另外一层含义。
So the third link, first we understand it as the mind coming into my mother's womb.
第3环我们第一个理解就是说我们的意识进入到母亲的子宫里，
But we can also understand the third link as the mind in which the seed is pressed when she said, I'm not stupid, you're stupid.
但另外一层理解就是说，当那个女士骂说我不蠢你才蠢的时候，就是在上面印下印记的意识。
Then at that moment when the seed is pressed into the mind, I'm not stupid, you're stupid.
当那一刻就种子被印在意识上， 然后骂说：“哎，我不蠢，你才蠢的时候。”
It's like the watermelon seed was just put under the dirt.
就好像呢，西瓜种子刚刚被推到土壤里一样的。
Then what's the water? What's the fertilizer? We finished it in the last class.
在上一堂课当中，我们讲到了什么是水。What's the water? What's the
In the last class, we finished what's the water and what's the fertilizer.
OK？ 在上一堂课当中，我们讲到了什么是水，什么是肥料。
And remember, it was like with a bad seed, it's two different things.
然后记住，就是如果是怀种子的话，是有两个。
Like she told her friend, my husband yelled at me, but I yelled back at him.
然后就像他说，跟朋友说：“哎呀，我老公骂我，我骂回去了。”
And her friend say, oh, aren't you sorry you yelled at your husband?
然后你朋友就问你：“难道你不为自己骂老公感到抱歉吗
No, I'm happy he deserved it.？”
不，我很开心啊，这是他应得的。
It's like she's doing a negative coffee meditation.
这样就好比他在做负面的咖啡冥想。
And she has no idea that her kids are going to be bad for many weeks because of what she said to her husband.
然后呢，她根本没有意识到，当她这样做的时候，因为骂老公，所以以后她的孩子好几周都会不听话。
So that bad seed, selenki sutup. The bad seed now has been given water and fertilizer by her negative coffee meditation and by her misunderstanding.
因为她的负面的咖啡冥想以及她的误解，就在给坏种子浇水和添加肥料。
And now that seed from link number 2, which is I'm not stupid, you're stupid.
就在第二环当中，然后骂说：“哎，我不蠢，你才蠢。”
It becomes tu chen de song.
它就变成了出圈
Tu chen de song.
出圈 k song
Tu song.
to song。
The seed becomes tu. Tu means tremendous power.
然后呢，to 的意思就是有巨大的威力，
Like nuclear power.
就像有核炸弹一样的力量。
Then what power does it have now after her negative coffee meditation?
当他做了负面的咖啡冥想之后，这个种子有什么样的力量呢？
She may loop him. Now that seed can shoot a new lifetime, can project a new lifetime.
现在那个种子就可以投射出新的一生，
And that's the meaning of Chupasipa, link number 10.
那就是 Chupa Shiba， 就是第10环的意思，
It's represented by a pregnant woman.
是由一个孕妇的形象代表。
But that woman's big belly represents a big seed ready to open.
那个女士的大肚子其实是代表说种子已经准备好要成熟打开了，
Then the seed splits open, the sprout comes out,
然后种子打开，芽就冒出来。
and we see the picture here of a birth, of a child being born.
然后我们就看到一张图片，指的是一个孩子的出生。
I think a lot about these images like an arrow in the eye.
我觉得很多这些图片，比方说，箭射到眼睛里的图片，
Or a baby coming out of a woman.
或是宝宝婴儿从母亲子宫里出来，
In these ancient paintings,
在这些古代的画像里，
these must have been very, very shocking.
这些画肯定是非常震撼的。
Like they didn't have videos.
当时是没有视频的，
But I think if Buddha had a computer and video,
我想如果佛陀当时是有可以视频的话，
he would have made a movie about this wheel of life and not paintings.
他当年肯定是会用电影的形式来画生命之轮，而不是用画像的形式来表现。
And I think someday it would be interesting to make a real evocative movie, like a big emotion movie, you know.
我觉得以后有计划可以真的是可以拍那种非常震撼的，然后引人深思的这样的一个电影。
Where somebody has an arrow in their eye. In fact, online I tried to find someone who got shot with an arrow in their eye. It did happen once, and the person went to the hospital.
然后呢，就是那种箭直接射到人眼睛里的视频，然后的确，我试着在网上找这样的图片视频，的确这样的事情发生过，有人就被箭射中了眼睛，就被送医院了。
But these pictures are supposed to like freak us out, you know.
这些照片它的本意实际上是把我们唤醒。
When you see this picture of a baby coming out of a woman, and the woman's body is being torn apart.
当你看到一个女士就是要生孩子，孩子出生，女士整个在受苦的时候，
Then we're supposed to think, I don't want to do that again.
你理应要想说，我不要再经历这样的事情了。
What you don't want to do again? You don't want to be the woman, or you don't want to be the baby?
你是什么不想再发生？是不想再当那个女士，还是说不想当那个宝宝呢？
I don't want to be either one.
哎呦，我谁都不想。
Okay, so Chuchikpakyawa means now the seed is cracking open,
现在就是种子已经打开了，
the fat seed,
就是胖种子，
and now a child is coming out.
然后现在孩子已经出来了。
The text says, "Teta setape," now that the seed was given its water and its fertilizer by the negative coffee meditation.
现在借由负面的咖啡冥想，坏种子得到了水和肥料的浇灌。
Yangsi dupele nipa tuchen de soma de la tene, based on that karma now being totally ripe.
现在呢，那个业力呢，已经完全的成熟了。
Kene shipukarun to tambonamshi ningsam jar. Then the mind makes the crossing
然后呢，一时就发生了一个跨越，
into one of the 4 kinds of birth.
然后呢，进入到4种出生方式中的其中一种。
And that the moment after the crossing,
然后跨越过后，
we call rebirth.
我们把它叫做转生、受
Okay,
生。
link number 11.
第11环，
You could say birth, you could say rebirth.
也可以叫做受生或再次受生。
Oh, Gesla, the first time it happened, it wasn't a rebirth, right?
可是第一次出生就不叫再次受生了，对吧？
There is no first time.
并没有第一次。
We have been here countless times. There's no beginning.
我们在这里无数次了，并没有首次、第一次。
The first time I heard that, it was very uncomfortable for me.
我第一次听见这样的说法是非常不舒服的。
We like to think that there was a big bang,
我们喜欢想说，哎呀，有大爆炸，
or God made the world on a 6 days or something.
或者说上帝在六天之内创造了世界。
It makes us feel comfortable if we think there was a beginning.
如果我们认为有个开端，会让我们感觉舒服一点，
But it's not logical.
但其实是不符合逻辑的。
Nothing can start unless something else moves before that.
一件事情不可能开始，除非在那之前有个东西移动它了。
So you could really translate this link number 11. You could always translate it as rebirth.
所以呢，第11环你永远都可以翻译为再次受生。
Now the text says into one of the 4 kinds of birth.
然后呢，文本里写到就是4种出生方式之一。
And this is a popular topic in the ancient Abhidharma text.
这是一个在阿毗达摩这本古老经典里面很著名的，就很受欢迎的一个话题。
And because we don't know what's the 4 kinds of birth,
因为我们不知道到底是哪4种受生，
and he doesn't mention them in the text,
然后经典里也没详细讲。
I thought we should go to another book and get a nice commentary on this 4.
我觉得我们应该去找到另外一本注解，找到相应的解释。
So we're going to follow the Tibetan here to the commentary.
所以呢，我们这里会来讲到那本注释的藏文版。
Jir kene la yena. Now, you can divide all the kinds of birth into 4.
你可以把所有的受生分成4类。
And I remember this was the first book I ever studied with my teacher.
我还记得这是我跟我的老师学习的第一本书，
We started 45 years ago.
我们是45年前开始学的，
It took us 12 years to finish this book.
花了我们12年的时间。
So kene was always a confusing word for me.
所以 Kene 对我来讲就是一个很混乱的一个词。
K means born.
K 意思就是受生，
Ne means location.
N 意思就是地点。
And then, after many years, you learn to translate it more correctly. It's not location of birth, it's the type of birth.
所以呢，很多年之后就可以正确的翻译，它不是指的是出生的地点，而是指的是出生的类型。
So here's the name of the 4.
所以是这4种的名字。
Nyalke, Gonke, Zuke, Tusherke, Shi. So the first one is called Nyalke.
第一种叫 Nyake，
Ngel means a womb, like a human mother's womb.
意思就是子宫就像人类的母亲的子宫一样的。
K is the past tense of born, so born in the past, in the womb, born in the womb.
所以这个词的意思就是在胎中出生，胎生。
Then gongke,
gongke
gong, which is sometimes split into gonga, means egg.
空有时候它的意思叫做卵。
So some beings are born from eggs, some beings are born from wombs.
有些生命是从卵当中出生，有些生命是从胎中出生。
And by the way, in Buddhism,
顺便提一下，在佛教里，
the real birth is at the moment of conception.
真正的出生是指受精的那一刻。
Then there's a second birth out of the womb or out of the egg.
然后呢，还有第二次出生，是指就说从卵中或胎中生出来。
But it's the conception, which is when the baby starts.
其实呢，当受精的那一刻，宝宝就出生了。
There's a living, sentient being at the moment of conception.
在受精的那一刻，有情生命就出生了。
The third one is called zuke.
第三种叫 zuke，
Sometimes it's called zutekewa,
有些时候叫 judikewa，
and it means miraculous birth.
意思就是化生奇迹般的出生。
For example, the Christians believed that Jesus was born without a father, without a sex.
就是比方说，基督教徒是认为，耶稣他母亲是没有他是没有父亲的，就是不是经由性而出生的。
And the Hindus believe that the great yoga master Patanjali,
然后印度教认为伟大的瑜伽士帕坦加利，
he was born in the holy water. He appeared in the holy water that his mother offered.
然后他是在他母亲供圣水的时候，直接在圣水中出生的。
That water offering with your hands is called Anjali.
然后供的那个圣水叫 Anjali，
And Pat means fell down.
巴的意思就掉下来。
So his name, his whole life, he was called the guy who fell down from the sky into the water.
所以他一辈子他名字
Patanjali
其实帕坦加利的意思就是从空中掉下来，掉进圣水里的那个人。
Then those people are born complete.
那些一出生就是已经完整的。
Then Trishirlekewa.
Trishelekewa
That means in the summertime,
意思就是在夏天的时候，
when the weather is warm and there's lots of rain puddles on the ground.
然后呢，气候很温暖，然后地上有很多的花瓣，水池，小水池。
The ancient people, they couldn't see the eggs of the insects.
古代人们是看不到那些昆虫的卵的，
So they called it a birth from warmth and moisture.
所以他们把这种生命出生方式叫做湿生，就从温暖潮湿当中出生。
So there's the 4 kinds of birth.
所以有4种出生，
Birth from a womb,
胎生、
birth from an egg,
卵生、
miracle birth,
化生，
complete,
它一出生就完整的，
and birth from warmth and
还有
moisture.
湿生就从潮湿温暖当中诞生。
Now, just for fun, I thought you guys would like to continue reading this text.
我觉得好玩，出于好玩，我觉得大家应该想继续读完这个文本，
Which is related to the text being translated by our translator Sugang Shi from Singapore.
然后这个部分是跟我们来自新加坡的一位翻译树跟徐翻译的文本有一些关联，
Same author
是同一位作者所写，
from about 500 years ago.
是500年前的作者所写。
Okay, so I thought you'd like to hear some discussion about these 4.
所以我想大家应该喜欢听一些这部方面的一个探讨。
Yidagla ngyak kyang yete. Oh, hungry ghosts also have birth from a womb. It's possible. They are not just miracle. Usually we think they're just born
I mean hungry ghost.
suddenly. Yeah, hungry ghosts.
Oh.
But he says they can also be born from a womb. So also is imply usually they are born another way, but they also have born from a womb.
所以这里指到，比方说恶鬼，通常人们认为恶鬼是化生，就出生就完整的，但是他们也可以是从胎中出生的。
Yita me dogjule, there's an Avadana. There's a these are called stories of spiritual people.
关于一些修行者的一些故事当中有记载，
from ancient India.
就是古印度的，
And this one is called The Story of the Lady Hungry Ghost.
就是关于一位女恶鬼的故事。
And there's a famous verse that she used to recite.
她以前会背诵一个很著名的句子，
Daki Ningba Pu Ngapkya Semon Yangni Ngapkya Te Sekyan Dala Simba Me. I give birth from a womb, right? To 500 kids every day.
我每天从胎中会生下500只恶鬼，
500 hungry ghost kids come out of my womb every day.
就
Every,
每
every
天
daylight, in the daylight.
每天在白天的时候，我会生下500只恶鬼的小恶鬼。
Semo Yangni Ngapkya Te. And at night, in the dark, I have another 500.
I mean, give birth.
Yeah, from her womb.
然后夜晚的时候，又从胎中又生下500只小恶鬼。
Then you might think, how does hungry ghost mom take care of her 1,000 per day hungry ghost kids?
然后你会想，那恶鬼母亲怎么样照顾一天就生下来的1000只小恶鬼呢？
Sukyang, I eat them.
然后他就说，我把它们吃掉。
Dagla simba me, but still I don't feel full.
仍然感觉饥饿。
Okay, chesumbecha. Mila ni kene shiga yete. All 4 kinds of birth are found with human beings.
就是 I mean, human beings have this all kinds
They
of
have all
birth.
4 kinds.
人类有4种，所有这4种出生方式。
And this is, by the way, a very standard and famous Abhidharma discussion.
这些是非常经典的、很著名的关于在阿毗达摩里有讨论的问题。
Mi pelchangel ne ke. Most humans, as we know, are born from the womb.
大部分人类我们知道都是从胎中出生，
Some are duke, some are born miraculously.
有些是奇迹般的出生的。
I used to translate that as born complete because they're
Wait.
just born as a complete
我以
person.
前会把它翻译成就是完整的受生，因为他一出生就很完整了。
And they give the example of the Buddhist master named Aryadeva,
然后呢
famous disciple of Nagarjuna.
，OK，然后呢，他们举了一个龙树大师一个弟子的例子。
I don't know the story. We can look it up someday. But apparently he was born miraculously.
当然我不知道这个故事，以后有机会我们可以去查一下。很显然，它是属于化生的方式。
Then there was a king who was born from the top of the head of his father from warmth and moisture.
所以还有一位国王呢，他是从他父亲的头上，然后是从温暖和潮湿当中受生的。
Then there were 2 arhats,
还有2位阿
2
罗
people
汉
who，became arhats.
他们2个人成了阿罗汉。
In Tibetan, they're called Chak and Nyewitak.
在藏文当中 ，cha 还有叫
And
做，
they were born from egg.
他们是从卵当中出生的。
Tundola yang shigayet. Animals also have 4 kinds of birth, all 4.
动物也有全部这4种受生方式。
Nyawa dan sadan pardola zukeki kyapte. But all hell beings, all devas, and all pardo beings are born complete. Hell beings,
Deva.
devas, and pardo beings.
Okay, they have 4 complete.
They're
They're all
always
complete.
born
Okay.
miraculously.
但是呢，就是地狱道跟中阴身，
Hell being, deva, and pardo.
OK， 地狱道、天人跟中阴身，他们都是属于出生就是完整的了。
Yeah, so pardo being, remember it's that one in the moment after you die and you go into the pardo
记不记得在中阴身的时候，就是你死了，然后进入中阴身，
for 7 days up to 49 days.
然后每次7天，总共留49天。
Then he quotes the Abhidharma Kosha, which is the most famous book of Abhidharma nowadays.
然后呢，这里就引用了《阿毗达摩俱舍论》，这是现在关于阿毗达摩最著名的一本书，
It's about 2,000 years old.
大约有2000年之久。
Nyawa namdan, sanamdan, sipapama ziteke. All hell beings, all devas, and all pardo beings are born complete miraculously.
然后它里面就提到所有的地狱的道的众生、天道的众生以及中阴身的众生，都是属于出生就完整的。
Which brings us to link number 12,
这就带到了第12环，
the last of the 12links.
就这12环当中的最后一环。
And the picture you see is of somebody carrying a big package on their back.
然后呢，你看到的图片就是一个人背上背着一个大包裹。
And this represents the way that people were buried, or how they treated dead bodies in ancient India and also in Tibet.
这代表的就是在印度以及藏地古代的时候，人们是如何被埋葬、死亡后被埋葬的方式。
Then there's some kind of, if you think your job is bad, at least you're not carrying corpses to the mountain or to the, we call the charnel ground. Charnel ground means a very terrible place where you throw dead bodies. You just throw them on the ground.
就是如果你以为自己工作很糟糕，但最起码你不用去背尸体，然后背到山上，把这些尸体扔到这些叫什么呀？扔尸体的这些地方。
I'll tell you a story.
我讲一个故事。
When I was a young monk,
我当时还是个
actually, I was living in a monastery, but I wasn't a monk yet.
就是我住在寺院里，但是还没有正式的出家。
A small Mongolian monastery in America.
在美国一家小的蒙古寺院里。
And the senior teacher of the Dalai Lama,
达赖喇嘛的一个资深的老师，
he was very, very famous for secret teachings.
他关于秘法呢是非常著名的，
And he was very, very serious.
然后非常非常严肃。
Then I got the job to be his driver for one day.
我也有一天呢得到一个任务，就是帮他开一天的车，
And I have to drive him for 2-3 hours.
然后得开2-3个小时。
And everyone told me, don't talk to him.
每个人都跟我说不要跟他讲话。
Then I'm like, I was very young. I was 26.
当时很年轻，才26岁。
Why I remember, you will find out.
为什么我记得？以后等会儿你就知道了。
Then they said, don't talk to him.
人们就跟我说不要跟他讲话。
I said, why?
我说为什么？
He's Yamantaka.
他是大卫的金刚，
He's the fierce Buddha, you know.
就他是愤怒本尊，
Don't talk to him.
所以不要跟他讲话。
Then two famous teachers got in the car,
然后2位很著名的老师也坐到车里，
but they got in the back.
但他们坐在后座。
Then I asked, why the big teacher doesn't sit in the back?
我在想，为什么那位大老师不坐后面？
And they told me in India, the big person always sits in front.
然后他们就告诉我说，在印度的传统是重要人物是坐在前座的，
So he got in next to me.
所以那位老师就坐我旁边。
Then I'm like,
然后我就像这样，
I try not to talk.
我试着不要讲话，
Then we started driving.
然后就开始开车了。
And one of the lamas in the back,
然后后座的一位上师呢，
he said, this is Mike.
他就说：“哎，这是麦克。
Then the teacher go, huh? ”
然后老师哈，
Then I'm like, he says, oh, Mike is very good.
Uh-huh.
He understands Abhidharma.
然后那个老师就说：“啊，麦克非常好，他懂阿毗达摩。”
Then the Dalai Lama teacher,
然后那位大老师就说：“好。”
So he quote the first line of the second chapter.
然后呢，他就引用了阿毗达摩的第2章的第1句话。
And I was memorizing the Abhidharma Kosha at that time. I never finished, but I finished 3 or 4 chapters.
我当时刚好在背阿毗达摩俱舍论，没有背完，刚好背了3-4章。
Then I just finished memorizing that line.
我刚好背到那一句，
Then I thought, oh, that's the first line of the second chapter. And I explained it. And he was like,
然后我就说：“哦，那就是第2章的第1句。”然后还解释一下这句什么意思，他就对我刮目相看
Then。we drive for some time, and the 2 big lamas in the back, they fell asleep.
然后我们开车开了很久，后座2位老师就睡着了。
And this Dalai Lama teacher started to talk to me.
然后呢，这位大老师就开始跟我讲话，
And we had a wonderful talk for like 2 hours.
然后很愉悦的聊了2小时。
And he said, tell me everything we see in America. Tell me what it is.
他说：“给我介绍我们看的所有这些美国的事物。”
And we passed the cemetery,
我们就经过了一座墓地，
many crosses.
就很多十字架。
He said, oh, what's that? Why many crosses?
他说：“那什么？为什么那么多十字架
Then I said, that's a cemetery.
我说这是 Dutroux， 就是墓地。
He says, well, why they have those crosses,
我说他们为什么要竖这么多十字架？
I said, well, they buried the body there.
我说，哎，他们就在这里埋葬过世的人呢。
What?
What？
The
什么？
whole body?
全身？
Yeah.
对呀、
Not the ashes.
不是把骨灰埋骨灰而已吗？
No, they believe the body, the person will come alive at the end of the world.
然后呢，
They will go to heaven.
不会烧成骨灰，因为人们相信在世界末日的时候，人的身体又会再次复活，会升到天堂里。
Then he looked at me and said, ha, ha, ha.
然后他看着我就说：“哈哈哈
What a waste of good living space. People can live on that land. Why they put the dead body under there?
为什么要浪费这么好的居住的土地呢？人们可以住在上面呀。”
Then I'm like, well, what should we do with the dead body?
然后我就问他说：“那尸体我们该怎么处理呢
And it's what you see in this picture.？”
所以这张图里就是这个意思。
We cut the body, we cut all the pieces up.
我们呢会把这些尸体全部切成块，
We mix it with samba flour,
然后跟糌粑粉、青稞粉混在一起，
and we carry it to the top of the mountain.
然后呢背到山顶，
And we give it to the birds.
然后呢喂给鸟吃。
And then it's a good karma.
那这是善业，
That person's body is not wasted. That person's body is a gift to these wild animals.
然后这样的话，这个人身体就不会浪费掉啊，而是可以喂养这些野生动物。
So that's what's happening here
所以正是这里发生的事情，
in this picture.
就是在这一张图里。
Tene chunipa gashi chirik betende rimki drupa yin. Then we come to the last link, which is link number 12.
我们就来到了第12环，
Gashi. Gashi means aging and death.
意思就是老死。
And technically, it's called death maybe with aging.
然后严格上计算来讲是死亡，或许是老死。
Gashi chirik betendo means, then I asked my teacher, why they call it death with maybe some aging.
为什么他们把它叫做死亡，或许是老死呢？
Then my teacher said, well, sometimes kids die in the womb,
我的老师就回答说，有些人就胎中就夭折了，
so we don't know.
所以我们不知道呀。
Okay, so that's why Buddha didn't make 13 links.
所以这就是为什么佛陀没有设第13支、13环。
Some people die in the womb.
有些人在胎中就去世了，
They don't have time to get old.
都没有机会变老。
Teyan gawa ni pumbu nekabrin ki shendu gyor shing mimbayin. What is the definition of aging?
那衰老的定义是什么？
The body goes through change. It never stays the same.
就身体不断的变化，从来不会保持不变，
It falls apart step by step,
会一步步的走向衰亡，
day by day.
日复一日的。
Okay, now the definition of death.
现在是死亡的定义。
Shiwa ni pumbu ritun torwam jikpala ser. When we say death, what we mean is that the flow of the same body and mind is interrupted.
Flow of the same body and mind. OK， 当我们说死亡的时候，指的就是说我们身体跟意识的这整个流动被中断了、打
So we
断了
don't。say the body died or the mind stopped.
我们不会说身体死了，意识就停止了。
It takes on a different clothing.
意识只是穿上不同的衣裳而已。
Okay, so it's very interesting that death is not the end of the body or the mind.
所以很有意思的，死亡不是身体或意识的终结，
The mind shifts.
意识会转变，
The physical form shifts.
然后物质的形式会转变，
But life does not end and cannot end.
但是生命不会停止，也不可能被停止。
You have lived for a time with no beginning, and you will live for a time with no end.
你无始以来就活着，而且你也会有无始的生命，没有终止的生命。
I'd like to end this session with kind of a review.
我想这一课呢，就以小节来结束。
And I'm going to be using special images.
我会用一些特别的图片。
We've had all 12 links now.
我们现在讲完了所有这12环，
And I've taught them in groups in different days.
我们在不同的时候呢，我是把它分成小组来教学的。
And I'd like to just review that because it's going to be important tomorrow and the next days.
我想来复习一下，因为这对明天、后天、接下来几天的课很重要。
So in this first picture here, you see of the 12 links. And then as of this morning, I learned how to mark them with a yellow marker.
今天早上我学会了如何给这些图片用亮光强调。
So it looks like it was done by a kid, but it was done by me.
看上去这些图片是小朋友画的，但实际上是我弄的。
And first, I want to draw your attention that the first two links hang together.
首先我要强调，头两环是关联在一起的。
Again, you can call it ignorance and karma.
你可以把它叫做误解跟业力。
But I'd like to call it misunderstanding and planting seeds.
你可以把它叫无明跟业力，或是你可以把它叫做误解以及种下新鲜的种子。
And again, I want you to think of these two kind of hang together.
然后再次，我想大家把这两个关联在一起。
You know, the wife comes in the kitchen.
太太来到厨房，
She's tired.
太太很累了，
She comes home from work.
然后是下班回家的，
She says, "Give me a hug," and she just reaches out like this. She doesn't say anything.
然后他就张开双手，什么都没说。
But she's thinking I will get a hug from my husband.
然后他想的是，我老公会抱我。
Then suddenly he says,
然后突然间，老公说
"You're so stupid."
你怎么这么蠢？
And in that moment, she misunderstands where they come from.
在那一刻，那个女士就误解了先生从何而来。
And she says, "I didn't do anything. He yelled at me."
她说我什么都没做，他就骂我。
But she did do something. She yelled at her kids last week.
但他的确是有做了事情，他上周骂了孩子，
Then misunderstanding triggers second link.
然后误解就引发了第二环，
Then she says, "I'm not stupid. You're stupid."
然后就说我不笨你才笨，
So those two links kind of hang together.
所以这两环是有点关联在一起的。
Okay, now the next image,
下一张图，
there's a poorly written yellow cloud.
就是黄色的云啊，然后画的不是很好看的。
Around links 3 up to 7.
从第三环到第七环，
And these are the 5 links which are kind of our equipment during life. They're what we use to express ourselves.
这里指的就是我们生活的一些工具，就是我们用什么来表达自己。
In the third link, we get a mind.
比如说第三环，我们有意识；
In the fourth link, we start to get a body along with that mind inside our mom.
然后在第四环当中，我们就有了身体，然后呢，还有在我们子宫里的妈妈子宫里的意识。
In the fifth link, our eyes, ears, nose, we start to get our equipment for contacting the outside world.
在第五环当中，我们开始有这些眼、耳、鼻、舌、身、意能够触碰到外在的世界。
In the sixth link, we use those instruments to make contact with the outside world.
然后在第六环当中，我们就用了这些工具然后来跟外界接触了。
And then in the seventh link, we start to have feelings about what we contacted.
那在第七环当中，我们就对于我们接触到的东西，我们开始有感受升起了。
So you can kind of get a feeling that links 3 to link 7, they kind of hang together. They are the equipment that we need to be alive.
然后呢，第三环跟到第七环就是关联在一起的，它们是我们生活所需要的这些设备。
In the next image,
在下一个图片当
I
中，
drew a yellow cloud around link 8, 9, and 10.
就是我把第8到第10环用黄色的云标注了。
And really, when you think about it, the most important version of 8, 9, and 10 is at the end of our life.
关于第8、9、10很重要一个版本，就是我们生命的终结。
We have seeds in our mind from our whole life, including I'm not stupid, you're stupid.
就是我们有这一辈子在我们意识里种下的种子，包括我不笨你才笨。
And then we talked about how it's very important which seed is activated in the last moment of our conscious life.
我们之前也提到，在我们的有意识的生命的结尾的时候，我们是激活了哪一些种子？
So as you see in the image here, links 8 and link 9 and link 10 kind of hang together.
所以这里的8、9、10环是有点关联在一起的。
10 is that big fat seed that already got a lot of water and fertilizer but didn't open yet.
第10环就是那些胖种子得到了很多水和肥料，但是还没有打开的。
And then 8 or 9 are like the water and fertilizer on that seed.
然后8和9就好比给这个种子浇灌的水和肥料。
Then if you think about it,
然后你再思维一下的话，
link number 11 and link number 12,
第11、12环
rebirth, aging, day by day after you conceived, and then death.
再次受生，日复一日的衰老、死亡，
That's a whole lifetime.
这指的就是一生啊。
Just 11 and 12 is a whole lifetime.
11、12就涵盖了一生的时间。
11 is coming into the womb.
11是进入到子宫当中，
But we already came into the womb in number 3.
但是在第3环当中，我们已经进入到子宫啦。
So I want you to start to get this feeling.
所以我想请大家开始升起这种感受。
This is not one life from beginning to end like Shakespeare's poem.
它不是说，这个环不是从出生到死亡，就像莎士比亚的那一首诗，
Something else is going on here.
其他的一些事情也在发生。
11 and 12 are a whole life themselves.
11和12本身就涵盖了一生，
Then the 1 and 2 kind of sound like they happened before your mind came into this womb.
1和2好像听上去是在讲的是在你的意识进入到这个子宫，你母亲的子宫当中之前的事情。
So now the question comes,
所以现在有个问题，
how many lifetimes are in one turning of the 12 links?
在一次生命之轮当中，在12环当中有涵盖几辈子？
And why it's not just one lifetime like Shakespeare?
为什么不是就像莎士比亚的诗里讲的，就像一生一样的？
To find out the answer,
要知道答案，
you have to come back to tomorrow's session number 17.
明天请再回来听第17堂课，
See you then.
到时见。